Today's the 21st. All right. Welcome, everyone, to the regular meeting of the Eureka Springs Parks and Recreation Commission for January the 21st, 2025, our first official meeting of the year. We'll start out by a roll call.
Beth Giltner,
Ruth Mitchell.
Aaron Borey.
Mark Ingram,
Ruth Gubenhager,
Kenneth Trimble.
Sam Dudley. Whoa.
and Rod Gray is on his way and he will be here shortly. All right. Next item is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve the agenda. A second.
Motion by Beth, second by Ruth. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 0.
I'll call you back in a minute. I'm in a meeting. Bye.
All right, the next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from our last meeting, which is for December the 17th. It's been in Dropbox.
Yes, I did read them.
Any discussion or any? All right,
I move to approve the meeting minutes from the December 17th, 2024.
I second.
motion by Ruth, second by Aaron. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes 5 to 0. All right. Public comments, we have no public, which is okay. The next thing is general chairperson's comments. I'm just going to use that time to introduce our newest commission member, Ken Trimble. I'm going to let him tell us a little bit about himself.
Okay. My name is Kenneth Trimble, and I've lived here since 1972, so I've kind of decided to make this my home.
You think?
And we have one daughter who went to high school here, went to school all the way through this school program, and I've got 2 grandsons and a new grandbaby. And my wife and I live down by Black Bass Lake in that area. And we had a heating and air conditioning business, commercial refrigeration for 30 years. And now I'm kind of doing what I love, doing some woodworking and building beds for my wife in the garden, and doing grandfather things. So we also back in 2016, I was responsible for helping bring the Bee City USA program to Eureka Springs, and so we've been keeping that certification going since 2016. So we're going on our 9th year now. And that certification will be coming up next month.
Wonderful.
So,
Well, welcome.
thank you very much.
I think you'll find we're a lot of fun on a good day.
Yeah.
All right. And then we have director's report. Sam Dudley.
Back and actually wrote one up again this time. So once again, we've wrapped up another year, and once again, we're all feeling like we accomplished some pretty great things this year. Many of which were in the end of the year report, if y'all had a chance to look it over. I won't go on about it, but anyway, the holiday season this year went pretty smooth. We ended up buying a lot of new lights, as y'all noticed, so we just sort of doing a refresh, going for a more traditional look, and then next year we'll probably add to it, but we just wanted to start from scratch again because the light situation was pretty hectic, so made the investment for all new Christmas lights. So then we got everything down, and it was super easy. We got it all organized. It's all in like its own tub. It's labeled. It's so nice, and we're kind of done renovating that building, so we won't be having to move stuff, and won't be so chaotic next year. And then also just shout out to the Basin Park Hotel and CAPC and everyone who helped with the Bash for the Splash event. I thought it was kind of fun. I mean, it's cool. It was first year doing it, so it was pretty well attended for Tuesday night, especially. But
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's something they continue to do. 'Cause it was fun, and it's just a good way to, showcase some Eureka talent and get people outside, and another excuse to get into the park. Let's see, in other news at Basin Park, Stacy Stoneworks finished up some of the repairs to that northern wall of the main level down there, where the wall was kind of falling apart. So they went in there and it's called Dutchman technique, where they just kind of cut out a chunk of the front part of the stone and then replace it with stones that match, and then they tuck point it with the mortar and all that. I think it looks really sharp. Definitely looks better than it did. And that's part of the Banks Family Foundation grant, so most of that was paid for through the grant. And now they're up there refurbishing the stairs. Unfortunately, it's been so cold and the snow that it's been kind of slow going. But this week, starting tomorrow, really, it should warm up and they should be able to go out there and continue the work. I'm kind of excited about that one because it's just one that I've always been. I've been thinking about it for about a year, just trying to get the money, and it's sort of a work in progress. So once it's done, I'll be like, I think this will feel especially good for me. Sort of like the Crystal Terrace Bridge. I was just like, I knew it needed to be done, and yeah, just finding the money and the willpower to do it. And then Ruth, you'll be happy to know that one of your bench got taken to Brent's shop
Oh, good,
to get your plaque mounted.
good, thank you.
Whatever.
Whatever.
As well as the one for the Unitarian Universalist Church. So, yeah, you guys, the Trimble family had one too. Yeah. Looks like two of the commissioners did that. Mm-hmm. Looking at the rest of you. Here's Mr. Rod. I'll wait for a second.
Not all of us have been here since 1972.
You got some deep roots over here.
Yeah, you do. And Rod Gray has now joined us. Sorry.
Hello. Oh, I got your papers over here in your usual spot if you'd like to sit there. Rod, this is Ken Trimble, our newest commissioner.
Rod.
So,
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, sir.
at Harmon Park, the apartment building that we were working on, I don't really know what to call it. It's the building with the apartment. We passed the electrical and the plumbing inspections. Woohoo! And then our housekeeper Lynn came and cleaned it over the weekend, and it's just all spick and span. It's looking great. There's obviously a few small things we need to finish too, but
I'm going to stop by before y'all mess it up again. Because they will.
we will. It's true.
Better go tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going to go tomorrow.
So now I just need to, I guess I need to get in touch with the building inspector to get like an official address and make it get it on the map for, post office and stuff like that. But should be ready. At Leatherwood, I was going to pass this around while I'm talking about it. Our managers, Juanita and Madison, are spearheading a couple big tree projects. One is they're working with Steve Churchill, who's also a Eureka. He doesn't really live here anymore, but his son grew up here, and they've been part of the Eureka community for a long time. But he works for the state Arkansas Forest Division, mostly over in Hobbs. And he brought over some Ozark chinkapin seeds, and we're planting them. They're super rare. They almost went extinct during the blight, which is like a fungus that kills off the trees. But obviously, a percentage of them lived, and they've been harvesting the seeds and trying to bring it back because it's a very special tree to the area. So we actually planted some of the seeds, and we're hoping
I'm sorry, did you
it
say
takes off.
chinkapin?
Yeah, Ozark chinkapin. Yeah.
No, we have one on our road.
Oh, you do? Oh, cool. How big is it?
Big.
You should get it checked out because they have like champion tree things, and right now the champion Ozark chinkapin is on Onyx Cave Road.
Or just get it certified.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. And if yours is bigger than the one on Onyx Cave, you'll get the champion tree certification.
Picked up a bunch of seeds and tried eating them, but they weren't very good.
Oh, really? Yeah.
No, they're not very good.
I think if you do something with them, they're actually
Roast
really
them, I
tasty.
heard.
Yeah. But yeah, when maybe not just like straight up raw. But anyway, it's pretty cool. And Steve's super nice guy. He's like just very passionate about what he does, and you probably know him, right?
Oh, yeah.
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 And then also we're working with the Arkansas Forestry Division. We're getting about 15 native pollinator trees, and we're gonna hopefully have them planted kind of near where the playground is, and have sort of a native tree garden in that area where we'll have educational materials and, you know, kind of just things for the kids and the families to learn about why they're important. So those are cool things. It's sort of all these things are coming together, and just, I mean, not to harp on something, but it all is kind of happening at a time when, you know, Chris Fisher, we're still thinking about him. So our hope is to eventually, you know, get with Chris's family and ask if it's okay if we kind of dedicate that area to him, because there'll be lots of trees, and
Nice.
just seems like the right thing to do. So, and then also we just started today, really, I'm just starting to put out the feelers for Jamborica. We went ahead and paid the deposit for the fireworks, so Friday, July 4th, all hell breaks loose, for the third year in a row.
The dunk tank again.
Jeez, I'm terrified.
I'm only terrified about parking.
I did go with the Hidden Valley people, the Hidden Valley Ranch. I know it's hard to say that without bringing your carrot sticks, but they did. They're going to let us use their parking down there,
Okay.
and they've confirmed that today. So I think that's going to make everything a lot easier. And if it doesn't, I quit. I'm not doing it.
What else?
It ain't going to happen in
You and me
2026.
both. I'll be right behind you.
We did
Maybe
get,
ahead of you.
just to add to the chaos and to make sure it's totally absurd, we did get Fossils of Ancient Robots to commit to headlining the event. So
Nice.
as if it's not already crowded enough, we're going to get an act that brings tons of people down there. So,
Good, though.
I mean, not that the other acts didn't do that, but just a whole new level of craziness. And then lastly, just on a personal note, I think I texted a few people just here just to remind them, but on January 31st at the Eureka Springs Community Center from noon to 5 p.m., we'll be hosting a blood drive in honor of my youngest son, Elliot's 4th birthday. He had, you know, pretty bad anemia when he was born, so he had to have blood transfusions, so that's why we're doing it until the end of time, whether he likes it or not. If you need help, we can, you know, you can hit up Katie or myself. It's super easy. I mean, you just look up Red Cross, and then you go to the website, and you can search for blood drives by location, and it's probably the only one that's going to pop up in Eureka, so, and it takes 30 seconds to sign up, so if you can make it, great. If not, no big deal, but for a good cause, and yeah, hopefully it's less chaotic than last year too. That was Rod waited a long time last year to give blood.
Yeah, but I gave blood faster than anybody else, didn't I?
That's true. You were pumping that
Pretty quick.
forearm, man. All right.
All right, that's it?
Yep.
Nothing else exciting?
Oh, this. Lots
Okay,
more.
committee reports, the Finance Committee, nothing to report. Sam's going to talk about things. We're completely caught up on all of our reconciliations. All that is done through December, as it should be. So there's really nothing to report on that. Okay, we have no old business, so we'll go to new business, which makes it this first meeting is our time of the year that we elect officers. And the way it works, it's everybody just starts throwing out a name, and they just decide nominate somebody, or somebody wants to nominate themselves. We have 3 positions: chair, vice chair, and secretary, which is currently being held by me as chair, Rod is vice chair, and Aaron is secretary. So we'll just do it one at a time, and the first one is chair.
I'll
So-
nominate Mark Ingram for chair.
Second.
All
He
right.
wants it.
Let's do
Does he want it?
Anybody else? Yeah.
Yeah,
we
no,
have to do it. Does anybody else want it or want
No.
to nominate somebody else for it?
You're doing a great job.
Oh, well, thank you. Then,
second that.
in that case, then we will vote. I guess it's just a vote, right?
Yeah, it's just a vote.
It's just a vote. So all those in favor of Mark Ingram for chair, say aye.
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 So we have 6-0. Okay, the next position is vice chair. It's currently held by Rod. And just FYI, we can each hold a position for 2 years, and then after that, they have to rotate or change or something. So everybody that wants to do it, and if Rod wants to do it, then,
I'll nominate Rod Gray for vice chair.
I'll second it.
all right. Anybody else want to do it? Or anybody else want to nominate anybody else for it? Then we shall vote. All those in favor of Rod Gray for...
Who
Aye.
nominated?
Ruth did.
Ruth, thank you.
For vice chair, say aye.
Aye.
Vote of 6-0.
Did you say?
No.
Yeah, it's not a motion, it's just a
Oh,
nomination.
okay. All right, thank you.
I actually abstain.
You did, so
Can't, you
5.
can't vote for yourself.
You can vote.
Oh, you can't? Okay, then aye.
If you can't vote
Then
for
aye. I
yourself,
thought
who's-
Robert's Rule of Order, you can vote for yourself.
You can nominate yourself and vote for
Okay.
yourself.
Oh, you can? I didn't know that. Okay.
Then we have the third position, which is secretary, which is currently being held by Aaron Bory.
Does he want to keep it?
Does he want to keep it?
More
Yes,
than-
he says
More
yes.
than anything.
More than anything, then I nominate you, Aaron Bory, to be our secretary.
Anybody else want to jump up and volunteer for that job? All right. And I will say, Aaron's done a great job keeping our minutes perfect.
Yeah.
Good job, Aaron. All those in favor of Aaron Bory for
Aye.
secretary?
Aye. That was a quick aye, Beth.
6-0 for Aaron Bory. So now we've got all the elections done. We can move on to important things like our 2024 Q4 financials.
Just keep your, remember that next year, Mark won't be able to do it, but also keep in mind that our new bylaws, or the new, one of the things that city council passed was that we could have the extra at-large position, which Ken now has.
Right.
But the chair position has to be filled by someone who lives in town. So,
Right.
yeah.
So if you don't want to do it, move out of town.
I was going to say, some people are,
Do we have to
excited
update the
about
signature cards at the banks if nobody changed?
Nobody changed it. It's just still, it's really finance committee and us, so. All right, so let's do Q4, and I think that, to be clear, there's 2 sections that you received. The first one is October to December. That is what we're actually approving tonight, which has to go to the city council. The second one is January through December. So notice there's just 2. I don't know what order yours are in, but the one that we're approving tonight is October through December. And then January, December just gives us a look at the whole year. And how we, which we looked at that pretty close, I think, at our last meeting, right? Sam? Our last meeting, we had a year-to-date to look at, I think.
yeah, I went ahead and, I think we looked, just for reference for setting the 2025 budget, we
Right.
also looked at the
But
2024.
what we're approving and what goes to the city tonight is just the Q4. Sam, is there anything you want to specifically talk about in this?
Just that bottom number, baby. You see how black that number is?
We
Not
like it.
red?
Yes.
We like it. Wait, hold on, mine's red.
Well, that was the budgeted.
Oh, okay.
We budgeted a net loss of 38,500
Oh,
approximately.
yeah, that's true, we did.
But we ended up being, total for the year, we ended up being up almost 100,000.
That's amazing.
But, just for this quarter, and for this quarter is a huge chunk of that is because we got money for the baseball signs, we got the Banks Family Grant that came in, so it's like, we end up, the donations for the
Yeah.
benches.
Yeah, so really that number's per quarter, but the real year-to-date, the actual full year thing is what matters.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this just represents everything from October to December.
And I know we already know this, but I'm just going to point out, sales tax versus budgeted amount and all that. I mean, how did that look? Just this-
For the quarter, it looked great because we ended up getting, I think we ended up getting July, August, or it might be August, September,
That's what I was wondering,
October,
because we got, that's the
or the
one.
months that we get. September and October were pretty good. August is always kind of meh, but September and October were great. So
Yeah, it looks good here, so.
we ended up being above the, projected 25% for the quarter. Overall, for the year, we were close. You can see we hit 96%. So didn't quite hit the mark, but close, within 5%. So
Yeah, I'm kind of, it's fantastic.
It's great.
Anybody have any discussion about Q4?
No. I move that we approve the fourth quarter,
sorry, before you do that,
sorry,
I see a mistake
I
on
retract.
mine. You might want to just add that in there, that on 650 LLCP lodging,
Uh-huh.
I put down the budgeted amount as 1.5 million. I meant to put 150,000, and then
yeah.
because I did that, the QuickBooks did the math for me, and it did it wrong, so.
Well, and just FYI, that line, that column is not part of the report. It's just,
Correct.
it's just an information thing.
Yeah,
That-
I'll fix that before I send it to
Oh, yeah.
Ida.
Okay. Now, shall I
Yeah.
move that we approve the fourth quarter financials for October through December 2024?
I'll second.
Motion by Ruth,
With the,
second by Ruth Mitchell.
with the change that he will make, we're giving it to Ida.
Yes. Sorry, should we add that to the, with the change?
Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. All right, so we got that done. Good job, Sam. And then our last but not least important item, which is very important, is our Basin Park Fountain project, and Sam's going to update us, I assume.
Yes, so we put out an RFP back in mid-December, which is request for proposal. We got one in, one proposal, one bid, one package, basically, from Stacy Stoneworks. I kind of expected that just because of the unique nature of the job. It's kind of just like, it's not like we're patching a road or something that's very quantifiable and easy to explain. It's like we're digging up a park, and we kind of know what we'll find underneath there, but we're not really sure. So we did get a bid of $130,000 to come in, remove the stonework around the fountain, excavate underneath, pull out all the dirt, refortify the base, the foundation itself. He's going to, in the bid at least, he said if he gets approved to do it, he's going to have an engineer come in once it's all excavated out so that he can get an actual feel for what is going to be necessary, what they're going to require once he built it back up to the way it looks. So at the moment, I'm just kind of searching around for putting feelers out to, other local organizations like CAPC, saying like, hey, like, we're going to need some help. Otherwise, it's going to just have to get put off for another year probably. So right now, I'm in the process of, I'm on the agenda for their meeting next week to see if we can get on their budget. That said, I was kind of hoping that we could add something to our budget for it. What's like a maximum number that we're willing to put down, because we might not get all $130,000 paid. It's kind of asking quite a bit, but what is the Parks Department willing to pay for this project, essentially? So that's kind of what I'm asking about tonight, and seeing if y'all want to talk it over. And
Is it legal for us to just have one bid and no competitive?
I'd have to put in a it's definitely legal. It's, you just have to put some
Single
kind of
sole
form that you single source, because, we did put the RFP out there, but if you only receive one bid, then there's a process for just saying, hey, we're skipping the bid process per se, because we didn't receive a second one to compare it with. So, so it is possible. It's pretty common in Eureka, I think,
Yeah, it
actually.
happens a lot. We're a small town with often have specialized things that only one person's going to come over here and bid on it.
We have unique problems in a small, population to draw on to solve those problems.
One of the things that I know that we used to do in my company was, if you only get one bid, you only get one bid. It's not a lot you can do about it, but you do have to go look at the rates that they did bid and make sure they're within industry standards. So, for example, if the going rate for a plumber is $25 an hour and they bid us $50 an hour, I don't care if there's just one bid, they still need to be within industry standards. So as long as when you're evaluating that, you kind of back that up with documentation that says this is within industry standards based on blah, blah, then I think you pretty much cover that. And a single sole source document for something this unique, I think is a very easy, it's an easy argument to make. And, I'm opposite of that in my thinking in terms of I want us to bid as much as we can, and we did try. That being said, did we put any money in the budget originally for this at all, or is this one of those things we said we'll budget as it comes?
I think it was the latter, where we didn't really have anything. Oh, it is in the budget, but I think
But it's like,
it's offset by sort of a presumption of what we would receive from CAPC through their intergovernmental fund. So it's in our budget that we would spend $100,000 on it, but it was sort of with the knowledge of knowing that
Which we
we'd be
haven't gotten.
receiving that money, but
So what we're
we
saying, we
still haven't
don't have
gotten
that
that solidified yet. So it's all like,
We don't have that commitment yet.
we don't have the commitment. I thought their meeting was tomorrow, but they had to move it back to next week because a couple of their commissioners were out of town, which is fine. But yeah, it's a weird situation. It's like trying to juggle a lot of different bowling pins at once and trying to see who's committed and working with multiple organizations, and it's all for a common cause, but it's like, yeah, everyone is kind of, I think it's just one of those moments where you have to just either, we're going to have to do it soon, or we're just not going to be able to do it this year, unfortunately. But
When you say do it this year, you're talking about like this before the season really gets going?
yeah, before
May.
March, because I'm guessing it's going to take several weeks, if not longer, to do it. And, we'd like to have it wrapped up before,
Spring break.
yeah, before like early to mid-March. And, then there's weather issues. And
Right.
I've already spoken with Stacy about the hypothetical, like if we get this going, like are you going to be able to do this, And he's already kind of set his guys aside. He's sort of penciled in other projects, but he hasn't committed firmly to anything because he's been kind of waiting to hear back on this. So I think he is committed to, like, if we go through with this, that he's going to hit the ground running, no pun intended, and try to get it wrapped up quickly, because he understands having all that happening is sort of a big hindrance on the town as a whole, and the park especially.
Can you give us an idea of the square footage? I mean, how much of the park are we talking about? Just underneath the fountain? Is that?
Well, you'd have to excavate more than that. We're thinking, just based off looking at it, it would be basically from, he pulling out those stairs to the front underneath the Balm of Life would get, obviously that's not going to be usable. And then basically like the big garden bed on the south side of the park, you know which one I'm talking, where the big sycamore used to be? And then probably like sort of a half circle up to like where the Doughboy is. That would all be closed off, roped off. But we'd still leave the park open for people to walk. We just have to have it taped off and secured, and get professional fencing and that kind of stuff to make sure no one
Is there any estimation on time, or they won't know till they get down in there?
We've guessed about 3 to 4 weeks from
That's all?
from hitting. Well, I mean, once you start digging, it goes pretty fast actually, and a lot of it will get put back in. So you're just basically staging it. Once you get the foundation fixed, you can kind of reuse a lot of that dirt. So we really, I mean, I'm a little scared to do this. But it's one of those things where, I mean, you kind of, at some point we have to do it. I mean, we can't not ever do it.
That's for safety's sake, correct? Because we're worried about the safety of it, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's caving in. I mean, you can tell based off just the ground level of the park, and the fountain is a good representation of what's, we keep having to put stuff on top of the bricks, so make sure we're propping up the actual fountain itself, and it's getting kind of bad. I mean, I don't think it's at risk at the moment of just utter collapse, but I'm not an engineer either, so I don't know.
I personally suggest we get started on it as soon as he can so that it doesn't interfere with the activities coming up in March and April.
That would be my question is, do we have any commitments to events or things that are now we're going to be interfering with by suddenly saying, oh, we're pulling all this up and we just ripped apart half the park for a commitment
The only
to be made
real
for the town?
big thing that I can, and I say big, would be the Mardi Gras parade.
Mardi Gras Parade.
But I mean, that's sort of one of those things where it's like,
Well,
there's no other time to do this. I mean,
no,
yeah.
absolutely. But I
Yeah.
think if that's the case, then we just have to proactively address that issue rather than
Yeah,
just
for sure.
be like, yeah, oops, sorry. This is all closed off now.
Yeah, fortunately, the concert series doesn't start until much later. I mean, we're
Right.
talking May or something like that. But March is always just a busy time in Eureka in general. So it's like, but then if you get past March, April's a little bit slower, but it's also like there's starting to pick up, and we're starting to do our gardening and planting, and you definitely don't want to be tearing stuff up in April, especially with all the rain. So it's
Yeah,
like,
I would just look at it, as quickly as possible after maybe right after Mardi Gras,
well, when is Mardi Gras? Is that
First
It's-
parade is February,
so if it's
just looked it up.
doable to start at that point.
And you've got St. Patrick's Day parade. I mean, so it's almost like now, but I know we don't have the funding.
And
Yeah, like
So-
2 weeks
decide-
ago would have been ideal.
And warn the Mardi Gras people, because those two parades downtown, plus things going on and all, I imagine if they knew ahead of time, they could make sure they have some plans to help, because there'll be a lot of people.
Yeah, and we're not going to have all the traffic stopped. I mean, there'll still be
No.
lane,
But as far as your safety railings in place and no one
Yeah,
falls in a
yeah.
hole or anything like that, or.
Yeah,
Yeah, a bunch of people
also,
drinking and, yeah.
Like Sam said
What could go
before,
wrong?
they're not closing the whole park. I mean, there's going to be the whole section close to the basin, then the whole section on the other end. It's just going to be a section around where the stairs come up and around to the Doughboy, and then they're going to make sure that people can get through the park, because that is basically the only way to get around, so you kind of have to do that.
Yeah,
If we wait for anything, we will never get this done, because every week will be something else that somebody's doing.
We live in a town that there is no good time to do
Years,
it.
like winter is January, February is the obvious months to get it done. My big question will be, we need a commitment from who else is going to contribute. Because parks cannot afford to do the whole thing.
I did some budgeting, and I was like, okay, well, let's think about this practically. And my plan is I've already sent an email out, but to the CAPC commission, I asked for $75,000 to $100,000, and that said, I think if they give the minimum, that leaves us with $55,000 on our end. And so I'm kind of like, is that something we can bite off? Is that something we want to bite off? We had a really good year last year, but of course, that said, some of the money, some of the reason why the profit looks so good is because it's money that we're going to be putting towards things we've already committed to. But besides that, we still had a great year. We were, just to go back, we were projected at close to, $38,500 loss last year, and we ended up making almost 100. So
How
we
much
had a
did-
great year.
How much did we actually put in the budget, in our budget for this?
Like I said, there's $100,000 towards major renovations. Obviously, I put that as sort of a,
So you really don't need anything from us today?
not necessarily, no, but it
I
just-
say that
it
because.
feels scary, Mark.
I know it feels,
needs to be
I know it
setting
feels scary,
aside.
and I agree, and I understand why, but I say that from a financial perspective in that I personally wouldn't be willing to say, yes, you can have this much money yet until I know how much money they have, but we're going to match what we need to match, but we just cannot do the whole thing.
Correct.
I mean,
It
there's
seems
just-
like there should be some grants available somewhere.
So, but we obviously can't wait for a lot of things either, so we need to get it done. I feel confident that CAPC is definitely has a vested interest in
Oh, yeah.
helping and getting this done. And we could vote on any additional change to the budget at our next meeting, but which would not hamper you from going ahead, is what I'm trying to say, I think.
Yeah, and to Beth's
Agreed.
point, there are grants available. I think the city has run into issues in the past. Ruth probably knows more about it than I do, but when you get a grant from the State Preservation Department, they usually require that you give an easement on that property. Isn't that correct? And so, like, essentially, if we did that with the state, which would be the route we would go, they would require us to have an easement on pretty much the entirety of Basin Park, which means, like, if we were to make any changes in the future, we'd have to get their permission. And so it's a weird one because, like, if you did it at, let's say, the library or the bathhouse down at Leatherwood, like, the bathhouse is a very definable place. Like, you can define the bathhouse. It's hard to define Basin Park because there's so many little intricate things that happen there, and so many monuments and other items. So if we had to, like, go through the state just to get every little detail changed, it's kind of like you're ceding up a little bit of your, power to self-govern or, make decisions. So
Well, this entire town has a vested interest in that fountain in that park. I would think the city,
Yeah.
the preservations, there's a lot of different organizations I would think would have a vested interest in helping.
yeah, I've already reached out to a couple of them, like, Preservation
And
Society.
City Hall may know about some grant things too. I mean, the water department just got actually a loan, not a grant, but it's through the USDA, I think is what it's through. There's things out there that that
Yeah.
not necessarily preservation and there are other organizations, but you already have permission. We've already voted on the contract with Stacy, right? And
Well, we haven't, we haven't.
not vote. No, I mean,
Not a contract, but yeah, we've gotten a
I said that
proposal.
wrong.
Yeah.
We told you, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we totally.
Yeah, we told you, go ahead and put out your RFP. That's what we said.
Okay.
Sorry, correct myself. Put out your RFP. So really, all you have to do now is just keep us informed
Okay.
until the next step. Right?
I mean, 55,000 is sort of my
My,
line where I want to draw that line in the sand, so to speak, of, like, I just don't know if I feel comfortable spending more than that. But when I really think about it, we spent $30,000 on a truck.
I from the financial perspective, I think half of the cost of this is the max that we should go or could go without really digging deep into any reserves that we have under in our general fund. And so I think I'm just kind of caution with that. But if we can get CAPC and preservation or whoever else wants to do it and make up the other half, then I feel like we have reserves for that reason, for something that's this important. It is that important. You guys have seen it. Y'all know
Yes.
something has to give, and they've known it for 10, 15 years, right? Like, it's a long time. And there just comes a point where you can't keep pretending like you don't know it's caving in, like.
It's not going to get better.
It's not going to get better, right?
It's only going to get worse.
Also to consider is the time to get the engineer involved. There might be a lag time there too.
Yeah, that was a very, that's something that caught my eye with his proposal was that, once he had it dug up enough to where it would be like right now, if you brought an engineer in, it would be kind of like they'd have to go spelunking to go see what was going on. But once you have it excavated enough, you can actually bring someone in and they can get a much better look at it and say, this is what you need to support this park based off these projected, rates of people coming through and how much weight's going to be on it. And just given the structure underneath it, there's water flowing. And so I was happy to see that Stacy was, more than willing to bring someone in, an engineer that is, to really make sure we're doing it the right way. So.
Yeah. Let's get her going.
All right. Honestly, I feel like since we did budget for that, and I mean, we did also budget for money to be received that we haven't actually got a commitment on yet either. So I think we're going to have to use your best judgment, knowing that we can only I know, and that's
Don't be
why you
scared.
are in the job you're in.
Don't be scared, Sam.
But we did put it in the budget, I'm guessing, so you don't really need us to do anything for the budget right now.
Correct.
So what you do need, if that changes, then I think you do bring it back to the next meeting, and we do talk about whether we specifically modify the budget.
Yeah.
Because it could be that maybe the commitment you get from other sources is less. And if that is, then you would reduce that amount, and we would have to adjust the budget for that. But until we know what that is, there's not really anything that we could do except give you blessings and wish you well going forward. But I think everybody acknowledges this is important and it has to be done.
You mentioned that Stacy Stone had penciled in other people, but not committed to them. Is he kind of giving us a sort of a date that he would want to start on us?
I mean, really, he's just sort of waiting. That's why I was hoping that tomorrow was the CAPC meeting, but it's actually
Right.
next week. But, had it been tomorrow, I could have theoretically given y'all's blessings and given CAPC's commitment. He could have started Thursday.
Okay.
I mean, as long as I had a contract
We're on
signed
the same
and
page.
a contract that me and him were both happy with, that covered everyone's bases. I mean, it could have, theoretically, I don't think it would have, but could have.
Would the downtown network have some funds to give you? I mean, it just seems like so many, it might be time consuming, but there's so many people, you could have a plaque, thank you for your help.
Oh,
To-
as far
to-
as fundraising and stuff? Yeah. I've reached out to Preservation Society with Dee Bright and, I can't remember if I've talked to her on the phone about it, but can't remember if I formally asked her, Jackie Wolven with Main Street,
Main Street.
just for, to see if they could tap into some grants for us or, their funding. Preservation Society usually has a pretty good, pot of, a little bit of money. I mean, it's not huge, and they're always looking for projects to spend it on because that's their mission. So, and I think the fountain is actually theirs. I mean, it's ours, but they bought that fountain. So I think, Dee was saying they have obviously a vested interest in making sure it all.
And they're actually very generous.
Oh, they are.
Yeah,
They are.
yeah, for sure.
They've been
Dee has always
extremely good.
explained to us that parks are a priority of theirs, and they try to make sure that we
So I would say,
benefit.
do you feel comfortable leaving here with the direction that you, I mean, I'm assuming that you're not going to make any final decision until you've met with CAPC.
Correct.
and
Yeah,
given
I'm not going to
blessing.
do anything until I know if we're going to get money, and if so, how much money that is. Because, like I said, I mean, we can't commit to something without knowing if, like, my inner gauge is telling me that the temperature is good for their willingness, but you never know. And
Yeah. I mean, I do believe too that that they want to help do that, and I think that it's in the public's best interest, and I think that it's good. They're definitely shown their willingness to help
Yeah.
parks. So I think that we just, you come back to us the next meeting with what we need to adjust, if we need to adjust, but you've got a
Agreed.
budget.
Okay.
Does everybody, I mean, anybody have?
Well, you're talking about the next meeting a whole month away.
Yeah, a month away.
And if Stacy could start on Thursday, we're delaying something.
Well, we don't need to adjust our budget at all for him to start.
That's
He
what
can
I thought.
start, Yeah.
That's what I thought.
But he'll have to make a decision what he's going to need from us. An example, let me just, worst case scenario would be CAPC comes back and says, we don't have any money for you this year, which they're not going to do. But if they did, then he would not be able to go ahead with it because
At that point, it would be outside of the allotted budget anyway, so
Yeah,
like
it would-
I couldn't.
he
really
would
do
have to
anything,
come back
but,
to us for it.
Right.
Yeah.
If we needed to have a special meeting, we could. And it's not if it was urgent.
Yeah.
But so much depends on that. But if they say yes and he's feel comfortable with the amount they're going to give us, we are budgeted so he could go ahead and start without us still.
Okay.
If he thinks he needs more than we budgeted, then he can come back to us a month from now, and we could all look at it again.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, though, it's like an arbitrary number for us to be throwing out this is what we would approve or not approve
Yeah.
without knowing the commitments of other vested parties. So to Mark's point, I think that is the best move forward, is to kind of sort of keep moving forward and keep looking at it. But when it comes down to, do we need to approve more, or do we have a surplus, or whatever the case may be, but it's just arbitrary at this point. I feel like I don't think I could come up with a random number right now that says this is what,
No, none of us could.
right, and that's just the point I'm making. So
Yeah.
I think I think your suggestion, Mark, is on the right path.
So I'm going to sum this up real quick to make sure, and if anybody disagrees with me, quickly say, you have our support. And we feel like we did budget for this with the understanding that we would get commitments from CAPC or the city or preservation, whoever, to offset the cost.
And I do have one
The
question.
number that you threw out, I'm comfortable with personally, but everybody has to be. And so you have our support completely to go pursue this and get started as quickly as you can. If you have any questions, obviously you can come call me this week or next week when they're meeting. Unfortunately, we're kind of at a standstill till they meet.
Correct. Yeah.
I'm sorry, my question, you had said that the temperature at CAPC was that they're willing to help us out. Is that Mike Maloney specific? Is that the whole commission? Is it, do you know? Are you?
Well,
Yeah.
when I went to the last CAPC meeting, I went up there and talked about it, and it seemed like they were like pretty. They were hearing me for sure, and I think some of them I would even say were kind of like advocating, pushing like, well, hey, we need to fix this.
Oh,
And
that's good to know.
Okay.
so,
Okay.
Positive experience.
yes, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Everybody good? All right. Then let's go around the room and have commissioner comments. Beth?
Not really, other than welcome Ken. It's good to have another body on the commission.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, welcome. I just want to strongly recommend that we proceed as quickly as possible. And you have our support, and the money will come. It will.
Yep, none other than welcome to Ken, and yeah, I agree. Let's just keep moving forward.
Thank you.
Ruth?
Again, with Ken, I'm glad he mentioned the pollinator thing. Excuse me, your work with getting the pollinator and Bee City USA has been really appreciated by a lot of people, and I think it's nice that you have that background before coming to us.
Thank you.
Good to have you.
I'm sorry I missed your introduction, but I'll learn about you. And so welcome. Welcome. And Ruth, you took the words out of my mouth with Mitchell. Oh, but yes, I hope we can get on this real quick because I'd like to not delay it any longer.
Now,
Again, anything else to add?
I'm just really excited to hear, what's been going on up till now and going forward, and especially the work down at Basin Park. I think it's really, really important, and I don't know what we can do to support it, more than we are, but I'd hate to see this wait another month, that's for
yeah.
sure.
Me too.
Or another year, or,
Yeah, or,
Yeah, decade.
yeah,
No.
I think now is the time,
yeah.
yeah. So-
All right. So, thank you, everybody. Productive meeting. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved?
Second,
Motion by Ruth, second by Rod. All those in favor?
aye.
All right.
I feel sorry for Stacy Stone having to work in the cold right now, but, you know.
They love it. They love it.
Used to it.
Well, it's not going to be 3 degrees. And I mean, I think this was our last day of that, right?
Let's hope.
I don't
Although, have you seen New Orleans?
Yeah.
It's cold.
Snow in New Orleans.
My stepson in New Orleans sent me pictures. There's
We've
like
had
8
heavy
inches of
snow in February, so.
Oh, well, we're not probably done with it, but
Yeah.
I mean, March, April, yeah.
This will be
I might have
easy.
one more cookie and then not have dinner.
Fixing the damn handrails.
Although I did give Beth a lot of
Hanging off the side of the damn.
healthy.
Whatever they're
You
doing.
can have it back. I
Good.
know.
Standards, they're like hanging off the.
Anybody else want another cookie?
It's like, oh man. So,
More
as long as
cookies
they're
over
not
here.
dangling in the air.
Brand
80 feet,
new.
You know, they'll probably be pretty happy.
Right. We don't lose any tourists.
Yeah.
No, y'all know we're done, right? Okay. Oh, yeah.
You had a problem with,
Yes, it's on demand.
Oh, yeah.
So do you automatically set up
you had a problem with your
so I can
on-demand?
receive